Welcome to another edition of the TSS podcast, brought to you in association with Luke 1977 and Bowden and Dolphin, with your hosts Rob Carless from Bob's Books and the legend that is Shaun Teale. He's here, there, and everywhere, and he's Tealey saying something.
And a very warm welcome to this week's edition of the TSS podcast. You know the score by now. It is abbreviated to the Tealey Sayin Something podcast. Myself and the great Shaun Teale worked on his book a few years ago, and we decided that we'd keep up the football talk and start this podcast. And now we are into episode number 9. Can you believe? So that's really good since October, and we've had some good conversations. So without further ado, Mr. Teale, how are you this week?
Better than I was last time I saw you, because I was frozen to death last time.
Absolutely. So just so for everybody's attention out there that does listen to this show, that has got nothing else better to do, we had everybody in the studio last time that we did this show, and we promoted some of the stuff for Luke 77, Bowden and Dolphin signs, obviously our other sponsors as well, and we had some very, very, very nice retro stuff sent through from Samir Gaby, who runs a company along with his partners called Division Retro. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us a couple of weeks ago, but I am pleased to say that he's here with us. Good evening, Samir.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Thanks for inviting me. That's
not a problem. I love retro stuff, as you know. You and I have been talking about it for about 3 or 4 years now. So it's a wonderful topic, and we'll talk about the rise of the retro and why you decided to do the business that you have done. And we're very, very grateful for it, to be honest with you, mate. So we'll come on to that in a minute. But of course, We've got to mention the man who puts everything together for us. He may be a blue nose, but he's a good man. He's a good man. Our wonderful Chris Browne. How you doing this week, Chris?
Great stuff. Good evening, gentlemen, and you, Rob.
Oh, we started on me already. Samir, it is bruising, these podcasts, and it always comes onto my shoulders. I don't know why. I'm a nice guy, but that's the way they treat me.
You've got the biggest shoulders.
Oh, here we go. Size is coming into it again. I can't believe it. Right, okay. Right, so lot been happening since we last spoke. We've had the FA Cup games, and we'll talk about that in a short while. But let's talk about some of the football topic that has happened this week. I've watched 2 brilliant games. I don't know if you guys as well. I know that you wouldn't have, Chris, because you'd have been watching Birmingham. But there you go. I've had to get it in there already. But there's been 2 great games on the TV. The first one was the Man City Real Madrid game, which was the playoff game to play teams like Aston Villa in that last 16. Oh, I love saying that. I thought it was a brilliant game, and typical Real Madrid coming back, looking dead and buried, having to score 2 late goals, and did so. So did anybody else watch that game?
No.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What did you think, Teale?
I thought it was a terrific game to watch. I think the whole game, in a way, turned on the fact that he took the fullback out off at half time and brought young Rico, whatever his name is, because he had an absolute stinker second half.
He really did.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
He had no idea who was around him and where the ball was half the time. He nearly cost him a goal when Jude Bellingham got in behind him. He didn't even know Jude Bellingham was there, and the keeper made a good save.
That was for 2 top teams like that, world top teams. That should not be happening.
And then for the last goal, he sort of dangled a foot at it, trying to clear it, and didn't get anywhere near it. And they ran through, and obviously Vinny Jr. lobbed it over the keeper, and Bellingham just slid it home. So yeah, he had a very. I'm not a massive fan anyway, of him as a player. I don't think he's the best in the world, but I don't think he's what City need. But it is what it is. I suppose they've had injuries. And they had to cover, Akanji went off injured, which was a shame because they were playing well with the normal back four as such. They looked quite strong, and then it all fell apart.
Yeah, I know. I thought that in the half hour that he played before he went off, I thought our man Jack did all right as well. Jack Grealish.
Well, no, I thought Jack had a decent game.
He did. I
But
mean, the
obviously,
first goal that they scored, the pass that he made was almost carbon copy to the one in the FA Cup on the
yeah.
weekend.
I mean, just unfortunately for Jack, he sort of went out the game with 20-25 to go, and couldn't get himself back in the game. And it was one of those games you knew Real Madrid were gonna strike at some time because they'd made enough chances.
Well, they should have been at least two up before Man City scored that first goal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Vinny Jr. and who's the other one that they've got? Well, they've got so many top players, but yeah, I thought they should have they won that. They are still my favourites to win the competition because they just know how to do it. I mean, they've won it 14 times.
Wow.
I think if you added up all the English clubs that have won it, I don't think that we get to 14. So, and they just know how to play it. They really do.
I think when it gets to two-legged, I think that it's an art, the two-legged game. You know how to go away from home and kill the game, and then you know how to finish it off on your own turf. So, but they went one step further this time, winning. I mean, it's going to be really, really difficult for City to go there and get through now. Really difficult.
I think that first goal is crucial. If there is a first, and there is going to be goals between the two clubs again when they get to the Bernabeu.
There is this thing about Man City. Yeah, just in there. Man City as well. I mean, they do look like a side at the moment that you can score against. I mean, like Shaun was mentioned earlier on about the third goal. That's not like City a goal 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they've been doing that for a number of weeks now. They're well out of the league. There's only two teams in that at this moment, and possibly one, but we'll come on to Liverpool in a bit on that one there. I put a question to some of my mates on WhatsApp, and I'm going to put it to you guys now. Are we seeing the end of the Manchester City reign that they've had for the last 15 years or so?
Well, my answer to that will be probably not, because you just know they're going to rebuild. There's no way Pep's going to sit there and become a second-rate manager after all the success he's had. So, I just think they'll rebuild. They'll get this season out of the way, and then they'll go again, I think.
I mean, in January, didn't they spend nearly £200 million still?
Yeah, but they're players that you wouldn't necessarily have seen them buying at the time. The players that probably would fit in, any Premier League team, and that's not usually the City way. That they buy the best because they are the best, and for them to spend 200 million on 4 or 5 players that are, I wouldn't say average, because the Premier League players and the world class players, but they're not at the standard you'd have thought they'd have bought.
Yeah, are they missing Rodri? Is that the big thing for them this season? Is it the Rodri thing?
I don't think you can get away from the fact that they've missed him, and missed him badly, because he's the one that sits in front of that back four and protects that back four all game, and that's been so it's been so out there that they can't fill that gap. They've tried with 2 players and it hasn't worked. So that tells you how good he is. These pundits that are not, you can't keep bringing the Rodri thing up. Well, you can, because at the end of the day, he's a world-class player. Yeah. And you can't afford to lose that quality in the middle of the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Samir, do you think that another question that I've asked, people that love their football and can discuss it is, what would Pep Guardiola, I hope I've said that right, I'm bad at saying the managers' names, what would he do with a bang average middle of the table team? Would he be able to work his magic in the same way that he had at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and obviously Man City?
Well, this is the question, isn't it? We've not yet witnessed that sort of situation itself with Man City, because they've always just had everything, and they've always been, top 4. If they're not winning it, they're in the Champions League. Yeah. We still take into consideration the 114 odd charges that are due. I don't know when they're going to sort of resolve that. And then I guess it brings your question back. are we seeing the end of Man City's domination based on the outcome of these? How are they going to be penalised points wise, relegation, to another league? We don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one outcome. But in terms of Pep, I mean, there's a good coach there. We know that, but if the team's not playing, if you're not getting the points, you're not getting the results, how do you motivate that team? How do you bring that team back alive again? Do you just go and buy someone else? Because then what will happen is you'll end up upsetting a few other players in the squad thinking, I've lost my place. So it'll be interesting to see how he is as a manager in this sort of where Man City are now and the situation that they're in, where everything's not going so great, where you're giving balls away and you're losing 3-2. Who did they play in the FA Cup? They scored from the halfway line. Sorry, who was it against?
That was against Leighton Orient, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
they play Plymouth next, don't they?
Yeah. So, and if Leighton Orient are scoring goals like that against you, something's not right. So,
well,
I would like to see.
Go on, mate.
Go on.
So carry on.
Yeah, no, I would like to see. I would like to see him tested. I'd like to see what he would do with a City team that's not sort of really just coasting. And is he that ultimate sort of elite coach? Like we've got Unai Emery. He's proven to take a team from 17th to Champions League, right? Qualified for the last 16. We're in the FA Cup. We're having a good run. We're attracting the right players.
Yeah.
I mean, he's proved himself where Pep has had it great. What do you do now where it's not so?
Yeah, exactly. Chris, 115 charges, as Samir has just said there. What I think the results of the findings come out around March, April time. What do you think will happen to Manchester City? Because there's no smoke without fire. 115 charges is a lot. Even if they halve that, it would still be a tremendous amount. What do you think is going to happen to him, Chris?
I think it's like 115 charges. The odds are that at least one of them is going to stick.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So there's going to be repercussions, isn't there?
That's easy for you to say, Chris.
I know. I'm going to say repercussions. Yeah, said it was.
Do you know what? He's been too busy digging the tunnels for Tom Wagner to St Andrews or wherever.
You may mock.
Well, we might not mock you in 20 years when it's finally built.
Oh no, yeah, and you're still living in that hole down the road.
Well,
the group of sheds.
Well,
the group of sheds. He's a funny guy, isn't he? He's a funny guy. Right, the other great game this week took place yesterday, and it was a significant one as well, wasn't it? With the fact that Everton are moving away from Goodison Park. I love that stadium. I think anybody that I've always loved going. I mean, it's since the 90s, it has been run down a lot. And it can be quite rickety now when you do go there. But they're a proper club, and Everton. I thought it was a great game yesterday with Liverpool.
Okay, yeah.
To have that ending that they did, where he got 8 minutes from when he put 5 up to start off with. I'm not too sure, but what a great ending for Liverpool, for Everton and Liverpool at Goodison Park.
Did that extra time not come from the two Everton lads banging heads?
Yes, I think you're right, actually. Yeah,
and I think that's why it overran, which is how it's supposed to work.
Yeah,
I think there was other things within the goal that were questionable. Was there a foul on Canate, a little push in his back? So they tried to claim offside at one point. I think, for a neutral as we are, I think it was a great game to sit and watch and just watch Everton really have a go at Liverpool and rough them up a bit, which was good to see because there's not many teams get that close to roughing them up.
Yeah, you live in Southport, which I think comes under Merseyside now, doesn't it?
It does,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so... Is there obviously you're not quite in Liverpool, but very close to it. Is there, what's the split in Southport in terms of blue and red? What would you say?
To be honest, it's probably about 50-50. Yeah. I mean, all my life, I've known probably as many reds as I have blues, and at school and at work after that and playing on the local scene up here. Yeah, it's probably about 50-50.
Yeah, because they were your Everton as you when you were growing up, were your local team, weren't they? The team that whose result you looked out for.
Well, I joined them, didn't I,
Yeah.
at 15, obviously as an apprentice. So they were my first professional club as an apprentice. You know that because you wrote my book.
I did.
Yeah.
I'll get that in before you say it.
The decline come afterwards, didn't it? Didn't the decline of Everton come after
What's the relief?
after Shaun joined?
What had happened was it was the uprising of Everton after 11, when they won everything.
I've got to admit, looking at that new ground, it does look something special, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It
You know
does.
what I mean?
I think the interesting thing, Chris, what will the atmosphere be like in there? Because the atmosphere on a good night at Goodison is unbelievable, as you saw last night.
Yeah, yeah.
Will it, you know,
Haven't they've angled the stands, haven't they? They've angled the seating so that the sound bounces back. So that's going to be interesting.
It's by the way, it's some view as you drive into Liverpool, especially from where you live. It just sort of appears on the horizon, and it's some building. But, you know, it's like I just said, I mean, is Tottenham Stadium as good as White Hart Lane was for an atmosphere? I'm not so sure it is. You know, and I think sometimes the new stadium takes away the old atmosphere.
Yeah. It's a good point, and you're right about that Everton ground, because when I've come up to you and I've caught the train, all of a sudden you just have it looking, and it's Bramley Docks, isn't it? Bramley Moor.
Yeah,
Bramley Moor. Yeah. So, but a fitting way for the Everton and Liverpool game.
So that's not the last game at Goodison, is it just the last derby?
No, it's their it's their last derby. So obviously it was significant. And there's something that I love. I don't know about you guys, right? Let's go back to when we were kids, if you can go back that far, right? So UTO, I was always fascinated by teams in red playing teams in blue. So where you've got a complete red and you've got a complete blue. So every time I've watched that game, it always takes me back to being a kid. Are you gonna edit that part out because it's so boring?
No. I totally agree.
It is. There's something about it. There's something about it takes me back to the early 70s.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't remember that far back. Sorry.
Listen, you two are in your 60s. I'm not there, and Samir's a lot younger than all of us. Okay.
Oh wow, let's come deceiving to age, but yeah. Can I just add something about Everton? For me, that's like my favourite fixture in the league, or Everton for me, because just the history, the relationship, the fans are alike, the clubs are alike. Stadiums with four sides, grounds with four sides will always have a great atmosphere, and when you get stadiums, you lose that. But I think the one thing that Tottenham and Goodison might have got a little bit right where the others haven't is they've got a stadium, but they've got the one end, which is just one level seating kind of angle, and you haven't got two tiers. And that generates an end of pitch atmosphere. And I think Spurs kind of got that right, because what you do then, you've got your hardcore fans there that really want to sing, and they can stand and do what they want, and the rest of it is a C-shaped stadium. So that will help. And that sort of, I think, beats sort of the Emirates or any other stadium. That you've got Leicester, Middlesbrough, pretty much the same, right? Stoke, they're all designed the same. And you get
they're not very Archie Leach, are they? No. These new ones, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
but I did see a post on Facebook, and they were talking about stadiums, and Villa Park is rated as one of the best away day experiences for fans for the fact that the traditional modern stadium. But when you get there and you see the steps going up to the whole tent, it's a wonderful ground, and Liverpool have got that factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't on the list of things to talk about, but it's a good time to bring it up with the people on it. Chris, you're going to go through a change when you move to this new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Samir, both of us are Villa fans. Can you envisage us moving away from Villa Park? Bearing in mind that we've got to get to this 400 million turnover that Chris Aki is trying to get us to. Can we build Villa Park to make it a 55,000-60,000 stadium?
I say yes, because we've got the space behind the North Stand. We've got the Doug Ellis, which you can take back and higher up. They've just got to find ways around it because there's a bit of land there. You're not really taking the stand back into the road. You're just trying to go higher up. So you've got space there. It's empty space. It's in the air. But I think moving stadiums, I just can't see that happening. And where would you put it? I think we do need to sort out access to the stadium, transportation. I think that's where they need to focus on, solving those issues. And we stay where we are because the stadium that we got is fantastic. Once you lose that, it's a big part of the club. It's history, what's important to Villa fans. You lost that, then it's gone. And I think we've got a fantastic stadium. Work on the North Stand, work on the Doug Ellis, find other ways around it. And I think we will get to 55,000.
Yeah, is that going to be enough? Is 55 going to be enough? Blues are going to build a 60 and Newcastle are going to as well. And I think this Everton one is. Can we build more than 55,000 or is that the kind of limit we're going for?
I mean, you could push it to 60,000. I'm just looking at Villa Park as it is now. You can't go Trinity Road. Holt End, you've got space there. Behind the North Stand, you've got space there. So do you go into like a steep stands behind those two ends to make up, for the numbers that you need? But I don't think I can answer that question. But I would say 60,000 is a realistic target. Anything after that.
There's been quite a bit on social media this week about things that are going on at Villa Park, hasn't it? Obviously, the knocking down the old cricket place and the rebuilding that into the fan zone. But there was also part of the article was talking about they're still planning on having the 50,000 at least by 2028 for the Euros.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're still in there to host games.
Yeah.
Now, I know it was put on hold, the North Stand, but I still think that's going to happen before 2028. So I think by the end of next season, I think you'll see.
Is it really? It's not far away, is it? 2028?
No, it's up 3 years. So, it takes 2 years to build. Well, it takes the best part of a year to build, to rebuild the North Stand, to flatten it, whip it all away, and to make that, to get the 50,000. But don't forget, we need 6,500, 7,000 to make it 50 in the first place.
Yeah, that's very true. And I guess regardless of whether it's 50,000 or 60,000, Chris, he's still going to have his freebies when he does the ambassador role, isn't he?
Of course he is, yeah.
Absolutely. He's going to be there, isn't he, with that free drink and free food.
I think he should move out anyway, move out to Browne. Move out to Lichfield where all your support is, I think.
Here we go. Right, so...
Get back to your own country.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so one other thing that I wanted to speak about before we get into the rise of the retro, and let Samir do some more talking. Right, VAR has been in the public eye again. It's never really been out, has it? But is it now time, given that we had it in the League Cup semi-finals and we didn't have it in the FA Cup this weekend, and there's obviously a lot of contention around that. We've got it in the league. Do we need to have it now? Because it's never going to go away, is it? Right? And it has got better. I'd argue that there was a 4-minute gap for the Man City Real Madrid game on Tuesday, which was too long. But it does seem to be getting a bit better there. Is it an all or nothing now, Teale? Do we need to have it in not just for the latter rounds of our cup competitions? Do we need to have it in for everybody these days?
I think the biggest argument against that is the fact that the smaller clubs literally can't afford to have it at their grounds. So from that point of view, that's not going to happen in any time.
No.
So right. So I didn't know this. Are you saying then that the clubs have to pay for it themselves?
Well, they have to install it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Got to be installed.
We were talking about this on Monday. What about what about the Hawkeye system? It's not expensive and it's only a chip. It's only a chip in a ball.
Well, let's take your game, Chris, on the FA Cup game. Brilliant game, by the way. I thought it was.
Yeah,
it was a good. Typical FA Cup game between two teams that went for it. Right, so that wasn't a goal. Their second one or third one, it didn't go over the line. Did it?
It didn't go over it. Well,
So would Hawkeye be better there, or would VAR be better?
Well, I don't know, you see, because with that particular decision, it was made by a linesman who couldn't possibly have seen it. So if he could not have possibly seen it, it shouldn't have been a goal anyway.
Yeah,
Chris wasn't even in line.
I've got a question. Is the goal line technology not at all grounds? No. So it's not at Championship grounds. It's only at Premier League grounds.
I think it's a Championship grounds, isn't it? I believe it is.
I don't know if it is.
Why? So So how can there be any argument? Because surely it will come on the referee's watch and he'd know it crossed the line. You see,
that's how it should be. Yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we have the Hawkeye system in Championship and it's expensive?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the clubs had to install it themselves. So that's something I've learned today. Maybe if it is a cost issue for the lower league clubs, maybe a Hawkeye type thing is a good idea, Chris.
Yeah. It's a chip.
But I thought that's already the case, because the system that they use for goal technology has been produced by the company that produced Hawkeye, so that's different to VAR. Because they do have a 3D image showing the ball on the line like they do in cricket as well. So, but I think that's only installed in Premier League grounds. I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Teale's just said, hasn't he, that it's a cost issue on that one, and maybe something like Hawkeye. You could have very, very quickly ascertained whether that was a goal or not. Looking back at it, I don't think it was a goal against Newcastle. No. And also, as well, we've got to mention the game that was played on the Friday night as well, when Maguire scored the winning goal for Man United. He was 3,000 miles offside.
He wasn't the only one, though, was he?
Well, that's what I'm saying. How on earth?
Rob, was that his belly?
That was it's one of the maddest decisions I've ever seen.
Crazy.
It really, really was. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I heard it was a pretty bad game, and the referee decided to give the game, give the goal.
There's a bit of an argument there, isn't there? So the linesman's missed it because he's not in line and he hasn't seen the offside. But surely the referees need to look at their positioning as well. So you get a dual view of it. So if the linesman does miss it, the referee can see it. But the referees tend to stand in some weird positions, so they can't actually judge whether he is or not.
So do you think then that these referees over the last 2 or 3 years since we've had VAR in the Premier League, do you think they've become? I mean, you are right that where they're standing these days and whatever. Do you think that they've become a bit? Oh, it's probably the wrong word to use, but a bit lazy and too reliant on VAR.
I think they've definitely become dependent. Yeah, because if they make a bad decision, it goes straight to VAR in the Premier League, and then usually it's put right. So yeah, I do believe linesmen and referees have become dependent on it, because it gets them out the mire if they make a mess.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, I think you're making a really good point there about a Hawkeye type system.
Yeah, I think so. I think
I really do.
All leagues, I think, should have some.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, that would be quite cost effective.
Across the board. Well, they do it across the board, and everybody has some sort of system, or nobody has it.
Yeah,
nobody has it. And it's a referee's decision, like the good old days.
Now, what did you think, guys? I'll throw this one out as well. I think it's part of VAR. So we had the League Cup semi-finals, and don't forget, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got some, just the week before the League Cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle, we've got some very special guests coming on our show. We've got Kenny Ibbett of the Wolves. We've got Sir Brian Little, representing the Villa. And I think I'm going to get the Don from Swindon as well, from the 1969 final, Don Rogers. And so we're going to have a really good League Cup, and we're going to do a bit of a quiz as well around the League Cup, right? And
no Googling, Chris.
Yeah, well, you know that he will. You know that he will. No pressure on me, as I wrote the book on the history of the League Cup, available to buy in all good bookstores and bad ones as well, of course.
Can you remember what you read?
like what I wrote.
No, but they are brilliant doorstops, as we know.
Yeah.
Talking of books as well, Teale, Andy Dale, who wrote the Just 14 and Just 15 books, he sent you and I copies of them because he's going to come on the show soon to talk around them. So I'll forward them on to you, basically.
Okay,
but they've come today. So thank you, Andy, for that. If you are listening to the show, I can't wait to read that particular one. Right. So I went to a wedding in 1995 and I was the usher, right? Not the artist. I was a proper usher. And as a present, my friend and his missus bought me. Do you remember Toffs? They started with the retro stuff in the mid 90s.
I do.
When football,
I do, yeah.
Right? So they bought me the 57 FA Cup final when we played Man United. One of the best presents I've ever had, right? And since that day, I've gone crazy. I never ever buy brand new shirts for the club, and it doesn't matter where I am. It can be a Blues fan, Wolves fan, Man United fan. It doesn't matter. If I see them in a retro shirt, I'm going to go up and talk to them about it and where they got it from. And they've become a bit more sophisticated over the last 10 years or so. You see them now in club shops a lot. But one thing that Villa don't do, as Mr. Gaby is fully aware, is we don't have them with the people that have made them. So whether it be an Umbro, whether it be a Henson, whether it be, a Reebok that we've had. So I don't buy them anymore unless they've got the proper badges on them. So 4 or 5 years ago, when we were in lockdown, Samir's on social media and he's telling me that I can buy the 1985-86 kit, which I bought back in 85, but I can't get into it anymore. Nothing to say off you two. Nothing to say. Right? Okay. On that one. And Samir said I'm working with Ensign and blah blah blah, and I got this shirt and I've loved it ever since. It's got the Henson who were the kit manufacturers, and there's been a couple of people who have done that since. But Samir, you started a company called Division Retro, and that is what we wore a couple of weeks ago, Shaun, with the tops from the 85-86, and very kindly we also had the training tops as well, and I did buy that one as well. So it's great to have it. It's great quality. How did you get into the retro stuff, Samir? And turn it into a business for yourself?
I mean, I was pretty much fixed on the Henson shirts because, I mean, if we look back to when we were like, I don't know, 11, 12, I think that's when you really fall in love with your club. I think that's where the love affair starts. And I suppose growing up in Aston, I see there's a store on the corner of Endicott Road, and I think it was, what was his name? It wasn't Dick Taylor, was it? I think it was.
Yeah.
So he's got these two shirts sitting in the window display, and I'm thinking, I really want these shirts, but I mean, at that time, young man couldn't afford it. They were only £19. If you look at it, about 17, £19 back then. But back then, it was a lot of money. And even though we weren't very good and we were getting relegated, I was still, for me, those shirts that were part of my childhood, they're just pretty much ingrained in my memory. So years went by, and I'm thinking, do you know what? I never got that shirt. Let me just go on eBay and try and find it. And I was really surprised at the amounts that the shirts were going for. This was around 2014, 15. They were about £150. But even then, 2015, you're thinking, have they gone up that much? I mean, compared to the prices now, that's nothing, for £150 for an original retro shirt. Now we're talking £800, £900. So I was quite determined to get one, but, there wasn't many listings. There weren't people letting go. They were all stuck in people's attics. So I decided to just contact Henson. I sent him a message, and it just so happens that it's the same, company director that was doing business with Doug Ellis back in 95, 97. It's still running strong, 55 odd years later, or maybe more. Never got a response back from him for ages. And then finally one day I said, you know what, I'm just going to ring the number and call him. And I did. And he said, oh, yes, I received your emails. Why are you so passionate about this shirt? What is it that, you're so determined to get one? And then I explained to him the reason why. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you one. Now, it was a long time ago, and the shirt that they did make for me wasn't in terms of the detail and the accuracy. It was close enough, but it wasn't the shirt that I remember. So I accepted it, sat back for a bit, and then I just contacted him again. I said, "Look, do you have an original shirt? Because this isn't quite right." He says, "No, we don't actually. We're just going on, by what pictures we have." I said, "There seems to be a lot more detail missing from this. I've worn this shirt. I've had a great reaction to it, but I just think it could be a little bit more closer to its the uniqueness and the integrity of the shirt, closer to the original." And then he said, "Well, what do you suggest?" And I said, "Well, look, can I perhaps work with your design team and maybe we can produce a shirt? And I've got a lot of people that are interested in it and I can test the market." And that's where it started from. The relationship grew stronger. I've met Haldor, 4 or 5 times now. He's come to the UK. We've met in person. It was only when I struggled with sort of thinking, well, how do I get this to the market? How do I obtain a license? How do I get Villa to be interested in this? And that's where two members of our shirt group, one is Tony Lightwood, who runs Be the Star Poster, and Steve Setherton, who has his own company called Design Monster, who creates and designs web pages. We got together, we put our heads and our ideas together, and we thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'm in contact with Henson. We'll create a new company. We're official licensed. We're the official suppliers, for the licensed merchandise, and we'll create Division Retro. And then we started to promote it, and it was, pretty much December the 23rd, 2023. We just took a gamble and said, let's launch. 2 days before Christmas Eve, and I'll be honest, we were quite surprised with the reaction, and then it just took off from there. We're at the stage now where we need to sort of create more products. You can see the one that I'm wearing now. This is an alternative design. Yeah, thank you. This is the alternative design of the original, which was dark blue and grey, and there is a picture of Graham Turner wearing it. That was the only one he wore, but I thought, well, we can have an alternative and match the colours of the hoodie, which is what I've done. And this is what I do with Henson. I don't change it too much. I sort of keep it in line with the original merchandise and maybe have a little bit of a spin-off here and there, which is what we did with the shirt, which Shaun was wearing last week, the blue one, basing it on the colours that we've worn in the past in the away colour scheme. And we sort of want to continue from that. Just a quick question, Shaun. You were at Bournemouth first when Villa purchased you? You were at Bournemouth, weren't you? Yes. Were you there between 85 and 87, or was it much after that?
I think I joined in 87. So, I actually signed in 88 because I came to Villa in 91. So about 2.5 years I was at Bournemouth. Okay.
The reason I say that, because Henson were producing kits for Bournemouth as well, and teams like Peterborough, I think.
They were.
Others as well. I think there's one in the Bristol. I can't remember Rover City. So Henson were trying to establish themselves. But anyway, it didn't work out, but they stayed in my memory long enough that I wanted to sort of revisit it. And here we are today. And now you see, when you walk around Villa Park and you go to away matches and you see podcasters like yourselves wearing these wonderful retro shirts. But yeah.
I'm armchair these days, and I have been for a couple of years now, Samir. I don't mind saying it. I am. But when I like an armchair. The weight has come back into it in some way, hasn't it?
Just about fits in his armchair.
Oh yeah. Very funny. Right. So it's good to speak to you, Samir, because it's nice to have an adult on the so thank you for joining us for this week. Right, so I have really noticed over the last couple of years, people either in all over the place that they're wearing a lot of your Henson stuff. And it's absolutely fantastic to see. It really is. I've got a question for you, right, on Henson. Are they a Swedish company?
Icelandic.
Okay. Why did they not? They are, why did they not have the Villa badge on? Do you know the reason for that? Because I never did.
Yeah. So this is quite interesting. I've asked this question to Mr. Haldor a few times. I think it comes down, because sometimes he gives me a little bit and then sometimes he holds back. I think it comes down to cost. I think it was just down to Doug Ellis being cost sensitive. And Henson also being the same as well. So it was a match made in heaven. It's always more expensive to embroider badges
Yeah.
as opposed to sticking on a bit of flock velvet. So I think it was down to if we can make this as cheap as possible, but then we can sell it and you maximize your profit. What I did notice though was the badge was on the shorts. Some of the training gear had this version of the badge, which was the round Aston Villa logo with the
Yeah.
white sponsor. Now, that was either sewn on or pressed on by the kit man. So if you look at some of the original training gear, like the hoodie and the track top, you'll see this appear. You'll also see this appear in the Hummel kit as well, which was the kit maker after Henson.
Yeah.
But badges on the shirts. But I mean, to answer your question, I think it was a big mistake. They should have had the badge on the shirt. It would have been a lot more loved. A lot of people connect it with a bad team and relegation, but we've been relegated with a Macron kit on. But hey, that shirt's got a badge on it. Was it the Macron
Yeah.
kit?
Yeah.
That shirt's got a badge on it. So
That's absolutely
people are,
right.
yeah, and that's what it comes down to. So I asked him the question, and he says, there was a decision that was just made at the time that they didn't want to spend more money on the embroidery. They could just have the AVFC on.
Samir, I've got a question for you. So,
Yeah.
can you only produce Henson shirts, or can you produce any retro Villa shirt?
No, we because the relationship with Henson is so good, we've got the license, so we can produce any Henson shirt for any club that had the Henson shirt, but we'd need to ask for either permission or a license, say from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
We can make the kit, but we can't just, like, for example, if you look at, I mean, this is something that I customized myself, but if you look at our products, we don't have the AVFC on. A lot of people have found a way of doing it independently.
Right.
We have written to Villa and we have said, look, we'd like to, and we've not had a response yet. So we can make, yep.
So could you produce like Umbro shirts or not?
No, that's where you'd have to, write to,
It's all
yeah, or,
There's
you'd
a-
have to go out and peruse, yeah.
There's a bit of a story to that one that me and Samir know about. So you know that they've got loads of different retro shirts at Villa Park. I guess that's the same for you lot as well, isn't it? At the Blues, you've got your retro bit, Chris. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Villa did the 1990-91 season, and I think we had it for 91-92 as well. And they had a set of shirts made. It was your first one that you wore with us, Teale, and they produced them with the Umbro badge. Do you remember that, Samir?
Yes, I do.
And me and you were like going, "I've got to get it! I've got to get it!" And next time I went to the shop, the Umbro had been the Umbro part had been taken off.
I think so. What's happened there is because I ordered one off Fanatics and I thought they've advertised it with the Umbro badge. I'm getting that. And when it arrived, there was no Umbro badge on there.
Yeah,
And so what happened was, I think Score Draw are sort of the official partners of Aston Villa Football Club in supplying retro
yeah,
kit. The thing is, and the relationship sort of with Score Draw and say the kit makers, I don't know quite what the agreement is, or if it's the club, or if it's Fanatics, or if it's Adidas that don't want the shirt sold with the manufacturer's name on it. And so that's why Score Draw pretty much can make the kit with the badge, but without, say, the Umbro or the Reebok logos on there, because technically the kit, the design belongs to the club. Although Umbro and say Reebok have, manufactured that kit, yes, they've got their logo on it, but the rights of that kit belong to the club. And I suppose that's where Score Draw can come along and say, right, we can make the kit, but when it comes to the actual manufacturer's logo, that's when the manufacturers will be like, well, we want a bit of money, you're putting our name on it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Adidas will be like, hang on, we're not happy. We've just given you 25 million. We don't want anyone else. All those conversations that need to happen.
yeah. It's interesting stuff. Here's a question for you then, right? Well, first and foremost, let's big you up a bit more, right? I know you're a great guy and all that kind of stuff. Even though you have been wearing the this season's top a lot, I have made comments to you on social media
I think
about
he's
it.
after a new shirt here.
Yeah, you've got to be retro, mate. You've got to be retro. Right. So, what would be? I mean, I love what you guys have produced and what others are doing and things like that. What would be your favourite ever Villa top?
Okay,
Ooh.
so here's the truth. Here's the truth. As much as we're Henson mad. The reason I'm Henson mad is because I needed to revisit my youth and get involved with the Henson kit, and
Yeah.
we've done that now. But truth be told, I think there are two kits that for me just sit so close in terms of my all-time favorite, and it is the Hummel 89-90 kit,
Yeah, I loved it.
and
Loved
then
it.
followed by the Umbro kit. I can grab them out of my wardrobe actually, and then the Umbro kit that followed after that. For some reason, those two kits, I look at them and I just think they, for me, were just fantastic kits. Don't get me wrong, the Asics one and the Hummel 87 and 89 was brilliant, but when you look at a Villa shirt, that Hummel kit with it was just clean, pure, crisp. Less is more.
Yeah.
Less is
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah. For me,
What's your favourite, Rob?
Oh, Rob.
mine.
Not yours, Chris, yours are blue.
The 70s one that we had with Ron Saunders will always be my favourite when we had Umbro. I used to go into town and in those days, I was only about 10, 11, but you could go into town and you could pick up the boxes and he had the full kit. Can I say the word, Chris? The full kit,
Yeah.
you know what I'm going to say. Yeah, so you could buy that and I'd have it for Christmas and things like that. Oh, that will always be my favourite.
That one with the little collars on. That one with the collars.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And
So it was the
and
same
it comes
time.
down- Yeah.
Yeah, same time as when you had the Penguin.
Penguin, yeah.
Yeah, the Penguin kit is exactly the same for that. And in those days, when Villa played Blues, for that first season that we came back up in 75, 76, we played in our, there was no away kit for Villa and Blues for that season. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely. So what would be your favourite, Chris?
The Penguin, yeah. I've actually got one. I'll wear it next time just to annoy you.
Well, anything you wear.
And I quite liked the all blue. I think it was Adidas with the stripes that came down the sleeves. That was a lovely, the Trevor Francis one.
Yeah, the one the Adidas one that you had in the Tarantino.
Yes,
Tarantino. That was a class kit.
A smart kit.
Yeah, that was a really good kit at the time. Teale, what was your favourite Villa top that you wore? Because you would have been about 3 different tops.
Yeah, my it's an easy one for me. My favourite was the Umbro one with the lace in the
Yeah,
neck.
I thought as much.
Oh yeah.
And I think I speak to a lot of Villa fans, obviously, when I'm down at the ground, and when we talk about tops, they always seem to bring that one up, how good a top it was. I also, funny enough, I like the Luke top that Luke produced.
That was class. We've got to say that because he's our sponsor.
Well, the other thing is as well, the quality was that good in that kit. So, people will have them and they'll be in the wardrobe and they'll be like brand new still.
It was more fashion, wasn't it? It was that good a top. And when we wear my favourite, and it's old school, is claret and blue home, white away. That will always be my favourite. I know you wore that in the when you played for us. I love. The one I couldn't stand.
Going to away kits, Rob. I like the green and black stripes.
Do you know what? I hated it at the time. I absolutely hated it. But I've grown to like it a bit more. Again, that's one of the ones that you can buy down the Villa.
Yeah.
Is Toff still going, Samir?
You see, I've not looked into it deeply when it comes to toffs, but you do see things pop up for toffs. But sometimes it's just a case of you've seen a shirt, and there are other players in the market now that are making sort of retro shirts, and they're making it in such a different way now. I think you posted something where there was the claret and blue shirt, and it just had a little line on there, and that was it. And that was connected to a retro shirt. Just going to go back one step. I mean, when you asked me the question about my favorite shirts, but that was from the 80s. But if you asked me about modern times, then I'm going to say the Luke kit. And it wasn't just the kit, it was the range, the training range.
Absolutely.
They got that so spot on. I won't even tell you about my collection of the Luke kit. But anyway, modern times Luke, back in the 80s, 90s, Umbro and Hummel. But I've not seen much regarding Toffs.
Yeah, they are still going. I've just Googled.
Yeah.
Still going.
Oh my God, Chris has just Googled. Wow, blow me down with another feather.
What it was going to be off the top of my head, was it?
What is interesting though, when you're talking about retro shirts, is the actual market. And I think it really did pick up 2 years before COVID, absolutely exploded during COVID. I mean, there were collectors coming from all over the place. And that's when people started to go into their garages, into their lofts, and things that you couldn't find, you were now finding 20, 30, 40 listings of. And you were searching for years this one particular shirt. And now you've got 40 items listed on eBay. And they're still coming out of people's boxes and attics and garages.
We used to regularly go around the charity shops just to go on the racks to see if there's any football shirts. We used to buy anything apart from Villa, obviously, but buy anything.
But that's what I mean, Chris. I find it fascinating, and it doesn't matter what club. If you're wearing a retro shirt from 30, 40 years ago, and I don't care what club it is, I'm going, where'd you get that from, mate? Where'd you get that from? Can I just, honestly, I think it's brilliant.
I've got a penguin long shirt, so I put the long sleeves on it.
What does Batman think about that?
But even Shaun, Teale, your shirts, your match-worn shirts. I mean, I've spoken to collectors that got your shirts. You probably don't know. At the time you may have passed it to another player or a friend. So, the aspect of it.
Well, funny enough, Samir, no, because Jim Paul was kit man then, and Jim Paul wouldn't give you a sock, never mind a shirt. if we didn't return our shirts at the end of every game, he'd have it took out your wages.
No.
We never got shirts to swap as such. Hence why I've got my green and black one, and I've got one from each year I was there, or at least one. I've got two for the cup final, the 94 cup final, because they gave us two on the day. So one shows the back, number 4, and the other shows the front with the Wembley 94 badge. So I've got very few actual shirts, apart from my own.
What they used to do with Tealey shirt, Chris, I'm laughing before I even started. What they used to do is put them back on the rack, because there was never any sweat on them or anything like that. There might have been a bit of mud when he fell over, but that was about it.
The interesting thing, right, is we kick ourselves now, because at the end of the season, you'd go to the club store and these match-worn shirts are all sitting there on the rack, 20, 25 pounds. Now, I'm not a big chap, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to fit in that. I want a shirt that fits me. And you ignore it.
Yeah.
People would buy the shirts, and they've got them now. And the valuation of those shirts now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've seen shirts go for £1,500. They're not even matching.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I've got a couple of pony shirts that are worth a few bob as well, but they don't fit me. So
you've just gone around and bought them, Chris?
Yeah. No, I've got most.
I love it. I love it.
Originals.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Absolutely. What would be your worst Birmingham one? I would say
either Triton.
I was about to say that. Oh my God.
Triton Showers one. Like somebody's been sick over.
Absolutely.
That was awful.
It's bad. But people are buying them. You try and get one. You will get one. Anyway,
no,
not original.
Interesting. Right, so we're almost up for time, guys. But I will say that we did our predictions for the FA Cup games. I was the only one that got it right. I went for 2-1 to Villa. So, but I'll tell you what, given how good the third round draw was, when you had a lot of the minnows playing the big clubs, and then of course you had, some really good games in the fourth round, the fifth round ties are boring. I mean, I'm really glad we got Cardiff. No disrespect to Cardiff. But I would imagine that we will be in a quarter final at least.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be two former Villa players playing for them, won't there?
Absolutely, Al Ghazi.
El Ghazi and Chambers.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course, there's been a big thing out this week about a 7th-minute round of applause for Peter Whittingham.
That'd be brilliant.
Which I think would be really nice if that takes place. And it will take place, I'm pretty sure it will. Because Peter served both clubs really well. It's in tribute.
This is what I love about you, Teale. This is what I love about working with you and being your mate. You play for us for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, your knowledge of the club is as good as somebody that's done it for 50 odd years. And I still love the way you go "we" when you talk about Villa. I really do. So I'm being nice to you there.
After something.
That just comes natural. The whole "we" thing. Villa was the biggest club I played for. I probably ended up with the most affinity with the supporters at Villa.
Yeah.
And that's not saying I didn't get on with the supporters at Bournemouth and Tranmere and the other clubs I played for, but Villa was different. Villa was, within probably 3 months of being there, Villa was like home. You got, everything about the club was, well, for one, it was bigger than I'd been used to. So it was quite easy to wrap yourself up in the club. And I think if you've played for them, you don't have to, but I think it's nice that you look into the history and you know what's what and who's who, and what's happened and why. And I just think that's a natural progression anyway. And as you get older, like I am, I read an awful lot more about the Villa than I ever used to when I played. So I'm a bit like a sponge. I take things in, so I read them and it sticks in there. And then, I know I can always throw it at Rob and catch him out.
Yeah.
Shaun,
I'm a writer.
Just very quickly, my 18th birthday, I'm standing in the Holt End. We're playing in a semi-final. We're 3-1 down. You score that diving header, and that's what we remember. That's why we are former heroes.
You're right, because obviously with my ambassadorial role at Villa nowadays,
freebies.
Whenever I speak to people, and I speak to hundreds of people every game, that's the one thing that always comes up, the Tranmere game. And for me, Bayern Munich was great this year. There's been Blackburn in the Cup a few years back, but there's never been an atmosphere like the Tranmere game, not at Villa Park.
No. And that's always going to sit in my memory. I remember watching you playing many, many games, but it's not that we've forgotten those moments, but that one, what happened that day and what happened, reaching the final, we beat Man U, it was a trophy that we'd won after so long. So just goes to show, doesn't it? I mean, we've got that affection. Look at Anwar El Ghazi. I mean, he's coming back. Hopefully he's playing as well. They're going to remember him for that goal at Wembley,
Well, he can't. By all his posts in the last week, he can't wait to get back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he has the same. He has the same sort of view in a way as I do. It's like going home.
Yeah.
And playing at Villa Park again in the latter years of his career must be, unbelievable. I was lucky. I managed to play at Villa Park in a cup final when I was 40 years old. And the feeling I got that day, just the pride of just walking out with my team, because I was manager as well, was so huge. It was just a great day.
As featured in the Here, There and Everywhere, you can get from all good bookstores as well, Shaun Teale's autobiography. So it's really well written, apparently. So that was good. Samir, where can we get Division Retro tops? I mean, obviously I've got that link to you and I've done for the last couple of years, but where can people go on and buy your brilliant tops?
Yeah, just simply visit divisionretro.co.uk and you'll find sort of the products listed on our webpage. If you're on social media and you're in contact with me, just drop me a message. I'll be more than happy to help. But divisionretro.co.uk.
Yeah, fantastic. And I thoroughly recommend it to everybody out there. that loves the retro, and they are absolute quality. Well, that brings us up to the end of this week's show. As always, a big thank you to our sponsors, Luke Roper and Matt at Luke 77, always there on hand for us, so thank you for that. And of course, the excellent Bowden family. I've got to say that because Claire is one of them. Bowden and Dolphin Signs, who have done some great work, some great artwork for us, and our members of the Quad Rocks band as well. So the LA song, and it's been good to see that a few people have been getting in touch, asking a bit more about the band as well. So it really is good that we've got that. So,
Rob, they're playing at the Aston Inn as well soon, aren't they?
Yeah, they are playing at the Aston Inn. Yeah, they are. Yeah, so and they play some good pub classics as well. So it really is worth getting over to see them. Teale, we've got 3 or 4 games coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're all at Villa Park. Are you doing all of them?
Of course.
What was that, Chris? Did you say the word freeloader there?
My lips were sealed.
Did I hear you say that?
No. Hang on.
To be fair, the only game I probably will miss this season will be the next home leg of the Champions League because I'm away on holiday, which I think is either the 11th or the 12th of March. It's my birthday on the 10th. Thanks for the presents in advance.
I'll get you a book there and everywhere.
and I go away on my birthday on the 10th for 16 days. So I'm having in Spain next time we do.
16 days. Who can afford to go away for 16 days?
A footballer, a Premier League footballer.
No, it's only because the wife's brother's moving there, and he's invited us to go and stay with them straight away.
Right, here we go. Did I hear them freeloader abroad?
I had to pay for the.
He's always working that angle, isn't he? He's always working.
I had to pay for the flight for him.
Oh, well done.
EasyJet, £15 each way.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what.
Well, that broke you.
Chris, who the Blues got the weekend?
We've got Charlton Athletic.
You've also got the Virtu. Is that the same as the Leyland DAF and all that?
It's the Football League trophy, basically. Yeah. Okay,
That's
so on Tuesday.
That looks like it could be a Wrexham Blues final.
It looks like it could be, yeah. Oh, just on that, what about the gate there the other night? 7,500. I thought that was pretty poor.
Who did?
Wrexham.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is the final, if it's moved to America.
I think
it's going to happen.
It would be a good idea. It would be.
They're talking about the Champions League final being played in America.
Hey, come on, the Dragons.
No, obviously we love you, Chris, but your taste in football teams leaves a lot to be desired. But there you go.
You should know.
So who you got the weekend then? Who did you say?
Charlton. Yeah.
Okay, we've got Ipswich.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we need to win that, boys.
Yep.
And then we've got Liverpool next Wednesday.
Do you know what? I don't think that's a bad time to play them.
No,
I don't think it's a bad time to play them. I really don't. But and then we've got Chelsea.
Yeah.
Home.
So you've got to start getting that electric car pumped up.
I know. It gets hammered when I get to Birmingham. I have to recharge the damn thing. But
there you go. There you go.
Games, isn't it? In a week.
Yeah. Well, I think the next 5 games there's only one away, isn't there?
That Palace, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Palace.
Yeah.
Ipswich had a good result the other day as well.
Well, I thought they'd
four
in the cup.
Yeah,
because I thought they'd lost 4 in the league. 4 in the league on the trot.
Oh, right, okay.
So interesting times. Well, it's been great having Samir on the show. Thank you so much, Samir, for sending us through the stuff. You're a great guy, and you work really hard on what you're doing. We love it. Keep up the good work, mate, and keep me informed about what you're doing. Don't forget, anybody that wants to look at the shirts, go to Division Retro, look that up. Nice and easy, and you'll go straight through to Samir's page. Big thank you to Bowden and Dolphin Signs, and of course Luke 77. We're back in 2 weeks. I shall be back in the studio for that one, Chris. So get those biscuits going.
Will do. I'll put the heater on.
Absolutely. Just in case. Yeah, just in case Teale's there. Just keep him nice.
Well, to be fair, if you turn the heater on now, I might turn up.
Mrs. would kill me.
You know what? The day after I dropped him off, right after we did our show 2 weeks ago, I started to feel real bad, really bad, honestly. Yeah, and I could have blamed it on my granddaughter who had the sniffles, but Teale was there in my car.
He sniffled all the way through that show, didn't he?
He did.
Almost ruined it.
Absolutely. But nobody ruined it more than you and Jamie did when you decided to have a chat outside of the studio and it was seeping through. Yeah.
Oh, that was brilliant. That was, yeah.
Oh, God. All you could hear was,
yeah.
Honestly, he was putting off me and Teale on that one. Right, guys, we've just gone over the hour, so it's been a really good show. Thank you for listening. The show will go out on Monday of next week. Obviously, we'll put it through to all the various social channels. Have a great time, guys. Samir, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Samir.
Cheers, guys.